motivated, privacy regime, whatever it is, you got to know what you've got, why you've got it, where it comes from, what you're doing with it, where it goes. Things like that. What data is even in your business? If you ask a business today what they've got, there's a good chance many of them can't tell you what they've got, not in a really thoroughgoing way. And it's important to note that this ties directly into CCPA for the access and deletion rights that people get. And this is a really vexing area for businesses, as I understand it. Someone contacts you and says, "Dear business, pursuant to this legal regime, I have the right to have all the information you've got on me. Give it to me. Tell me what you have about me." How do they know who that person is? How do they verify the identity of this person? What data internally is linkable to this person? What reasonable efforts do they have to make to link that data to this person? This is all very fuzzy stuff. And so that's an area where a lot of energy goes to figuring out what is the reasonable approach to compliance here.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're seeing a lot of discussion among businesses about the difficulties that they are having in coming into compliance with this law, or at least aligning their practices with CCPA and thinking proactively, hopefully, about other privacy legislation that may be on the horizon. It's been important to start thinking through some of these practices, and I think we haven't yet seen all of the standardization that we will probably see very soon in terms of how to implementation. There's a lot of vendors, there's a lot of options for companies that do want to make strides in terms of adopting best practices, but especially once you put it into a law, it sort of ossifies it a little bit, and yet suddenly you have strict requirements, but in the case of the CCPA, not necessarily specific requirements that leave it open to interpretation in some instances. Like, for example, the CCPA requires a notice. You have to add a notice to your website. If you're collecting data online, you have to make it upfront a button that lets you opt out, a "do not sell my information" button.
And that's only, by the way, if you sell the California residence data to third parties, sell being defined very broadly in the statute. You may not think of yourself as being a data salesman, but perhaps under the statute you are.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, so already you're kind of up.
It's confusing out of the gate, right?
And you've seen a lot of website notices and privacy policies sort of wrestling with this, as many companies have said, well, we don't think we sell your personal information, but California thinks that maybe we do. So insofar as we sell your personal information under California, you can ask us not to by clicking this button.